When the mask slips, everything changes. There is a moment that cuts through everything, clean and sharp. It is the moment a manipulator realizes you see them, not the version they perform, but who they really are. You are no longer falling for the charm, the compliments, or the fake concern. You are awake. And now they know you know. That is when everything shifts. Their behavior changes. Their tone changes. The rules of the relationship change. What used to be sneaky becomes calculated. What felt warm now feels cold. You are not imagining it. You have stepped into something deeper. A game you never asked to play, but one they have rehearsed many times. It feels unfair. It feels personal. But the Stoics would tell you it is a test. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus lived among betrayal, rumors, and mind games too. They learned to face it without losing themselves. You can do the same. This video is not about fighting fire with fire. It is about staying calm, staying clear, and protecting your peace when someone tries to shake your sense of truth. We are going to look at 6 things manipulators do when they realize you are no longer blind to their games. And we will see how Stoic philosophy gives you a way to deal with each one. You do not need to yell. You do not need to chase. You just need to stay steady. Because once you see clearly, you have already taken your power back. And the smartest thing you can do now is hold it. Lesson number 1. They try to flip the narrative. The moment a manipulator realizes you see through them, they do not admit it. They do not reflect or apologize. Instead, they try to flip the story. You are no longer someone who caught the truth, you are now someone who is overreacting, imagining things, or being dramatic. It happens fast. 1 second they were acting sweet, caring, or supportive. The next, they are rewriting everything. They say you are twisting their words. They say you are too emotional. They say you are reading too much into things. But you are not. You saw something real. Something sharp and clear. And now they are scared you might say it out loud. That fear pushes them to take control of the story before you do. They flip the narrative not just to protect themselves, but to make you doubt your clarity. It is a tactic, not a mistake. It is designed to confuse you. To keep you quiet. To make you question the moment your instincts woke up. This works because you care. You care about fairness, about being kind, about not judging too fast. They know that. They use it. They know you are the kind of person who will pause and reflect. Who will wonder, maybe I misunderstood. That hesitation is all they need. The Stoics knew this pattern well. Marcus Aurelius wrote about facing people who lie, cheat, or twist things without losing your focus. He did not waste time chasing down false stories. He stayed grounded in how he lived. That was his answer. Not argument. Not revenge. Just clarity through character. You must remember the same truth. You do not owe anyone a performance. You do not need to defend what you saw. You do not need to fix the story. Let them spin it. Let them talk. You walk. You keep showing up as yourself, steady, calm, and true. When you stop giving energy to their noise, it fades. It may hurt to be misunderstood. It may sting when people believe the lie. But over time, the truth has weight. And it lands. Not because you forced it, but because you lived it. That is Stoic strength. Knowing what you saw, standing by it without shouting, and refusing to let someone else's fear control your voice. Lesson number 2. They pretend nothing happened. After the mask falls and they know you have seen through them, many manipulators do not argue. They do not lash out. Instead, they go quiet. Not out of guilt, but out of strategy. One day they were defensive or distant, the next they are casually sending a message or liking your post. A small text. A familiar joke. A smile like nothing ever happened. This is not a mistake. It is not awkwardness. It is a test. They are watching to see if you will play along. If you will respond like before. If your guard was a moment or a decision. If your truth can be softened by politeness. The danger here is not what they say, but what they are trying to erase. You felt something real. You saw a pattern. You pulled away. And now they want to skip the part where accountability lives. They want to reset the relationship without repair. And because you are kind, because you care, it becomes easy to wonder if maybe you were too harsh. Maybe things were not that bad. That self-doubt is what they are counting on. Most people who are good do not want conflict. You want peace. You want understanding. But peace without truth is not peace. It is silence dressed up as forgiveness. This is where Stoicism speaks loudly. Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by events, but by our judgments about them. What that means is, someone reaching out to you with a friendly tone does not change what they did. You can stay calm. You can stay kind. But you do not have to pretend. Marcus Aurelius did not reopen his heart just because someone smiled. He observed behavior. He protected his peace. He did not slam doors, but he also did not forget where the damage was done. You can do the same. You do not owe anyone immediate access to your time, your energy, or your trust. If someone reaches out like nothing ever happened, you do not need to explain your silence. You do not need to argue. You can stand still, clear and quiet. Your boundaries are not cruelty. They are clarity. And when someone tries to skip the part where they grow, it is your job to pause, not to reconnect, but to remember. Not to be bitter, but to be wise. The Stoic teaches you this: your peace is not earned through pretending. It is earned through awareness. Stand in that. No one can take it from you unless you hand it back. Lesson number 3. They undermine you behind closed doors. When a manipulator sees that you are no longer under their control, they often do not confront you directly. They take the quiet path, the shadowed path. They start speaking about you when you are not there. A whisper here, a casual concern there. They say things like "I am worried about them" or "they have been acting different lately." These are not just random comments. They are seeds. Each one designed to shift how others see you. To make people question your stability, your honesty, your heart. And the worst part is, you often do not know it is happening until something feels off. People stop reaching out. The energy changes. The support fades. You are not being paranoid. Something has shifted, and it is not by accident. This is a tactic. It allows the manipulator to protect their image while poisoning yours. It is subtle, which makes it hard to name. That is why it is effective. And when you do find out, your first instinct might be to defend yourself, to explain, to clear your name. But this is the trap. The moment you start fighting back, you enter their game. You start reacting to their lies instead of living your truth. Stoicism offers a better way. Seneca once wrote that it is the sign of a strong mind to rise above insults. Not to ignore them out of fear, but to recognize that your value is not held in someone else's words. Your worth lies in your actions. Your peace lives in your discipline. You do not win this battle by chasing people to explain yourself. You win it by showing up every day in alignment with who you are. Let your life correct the lie. Let your consistency make their story fall apart. Some people will believe the rumors. Let them. They were never yours to hold. The people who matter will notice over time that something does not add up. And the people who never ask, never pause, never wonder, were never really with you to begin with. So you hold your peace. You stay grounded. You let the noise swirl, but you do not enter it. Reputation is fragile, but character is strong. Let your character speak for you. Let your silence speak for you. And let time expose what words never could. That is how you protect yourself without becoming like the person who tried to destroy you. Lesson number 4. They suddenly change to win you back. When everything else fails, when charm, lies, silence, and sabotage do not work, some manipulators shift again. This time, they come back with softness. They appear changed. Calmer, kinder, more aware. They say things you once begged them to hear. They show the kind of support they never used to offer. And for a moment, it feels real. You wonder if this is growth. If maybe they finally saw what they did. You want to believe it. You want it to be true. Because deep down, part of you still hopes that the person you saw glimpses of in the beginning is still there. But you need to pause. Not out of fear, but out of clarity. Because change is not about timing. It is about consistency. When someone changes after being caught, when their transformation arrives just after they lose control, you must ask yourself, is this healing or is this a tactic? Real growth is slow, quiet, humble. It does not demand immediate trust. It does not mirror your words back to you as proof. It shows up in new patterns, not repeated promises. The Stoics were not against forgiveness. They were against foolishness. Marcus Aurelius taught that the best revenge is not to become like the people who harmed you. That means you do not respond with bitterness. You respond with balance. You can be kind without opening the door. You can listen without leaning in. The smart man, the calm woman, the grounded soul does not melt at the first sign of changed tone. They observe. They wait. They let time do the talking. I watched someone once who had been deeply manipulated finally walk away. She was strong, clear, and done. Then came the shift. The same person who once mocked her boundaries now praised them. They apologized, supported her, even spoke like her. She almost believed it. But within weeks, the same patterns returned. The compliments turned into subtle control. The kindness became expectation. It had all been a test, not a turning point. The Stoic response is not about closing your heart forever. It is about keeping your mind awake. You do not punish change, but you do not accept it without proof. Watch for action over time. Watch for humility that does not need applause. And remember, forgiveness is something you give for peace, not access. You can release someone from your anger and still never let them into your life again. That is not cold. That is wise. Lesson number 5. They push your boundaries subtly. When charm fails and open manipulation no longer works, many toxic people take a quieter route. They do not try to force the door open. They tap on the window. Just a small message. A vague compliment. A memory dropped in a shared thread. It all feels soft, even harmless. But it is not. It is pressure. It is a test. They want to know if your boundary was real or just a temporary reaction. They want to know if they still have access. And instead of crashing back into your life, they slide in through little cracks. A heart on a story. A short comment. A text that says just thinking about you. They do not expect full reconnection right away. What they want is a signal. Any small sign that you will lower the wall. That you are still willing to listen. And this is where many people fold. Not because they forgot the harm, but because they are kind. Because being polite feels easier than being firm. Because silence feels rude when someone is being nice. But this is how the cycle starts again. The Stoics teach something different. Epictetus said that we cannot control what others do, only how we respond. And response does not always mean reply. Sometimes, your silence is the clearest response you can give. Not as punishment, but as protection. Boundaries are not about revenge. They are about preserving your peace. And if someone has shown you that they disrespect your peace, they do not need to be given another chance to break it. You do not have to explain why you are not answering. You do not have to send a final message. You do not have to engage just to prove you are not angry. Politeness is not required when someone has already crossed the line once. I saw this play out in someone I know. She had finally walked away from a manipulative dynamic. It took her months to get her mind clear. But then came the quiet tests. A comment here. A mutual friend saying he asked about her. All so light. All so familiar. But all of it was a way to test the gate. She almost responded. Not because she forgot the pain, but because she did not want to seem cold. That is how manipulation works. It plays on your kindness. The Stoic path says hold the line. Stay quiet if you need to. Be still if you must. You are not cold. You are awake. And you do not need to explain that to anyone. The people who honor your boundary will understand it. The ones who do not were never meant to be let back in. Lesson number 6. They isolate or discredit you to others. When all their other tactics fail, when you do not fall for guilt, silence, charm, or pressure, the manipulator often makes one last move. They stop coming after you directly and start working around you. They begin whispering to others, not loudly, not obviously, but just enough to change the air. They say they are concerned about you. They tell people you have changed. They frame their gossip as care. But make no mistake, it is strategy. They are not trying to fix the relationship. They are trying to control the story. They want to cut you off without ever looking like the one holding the knife. Suddenly, invites stop coming. People grow distant. Opportunities feel out of reach. It feels quiet, but heavy. Like something is wrong, and no one will say it. You are not imagining this. You are being slowly isolated. The goal is not to destroy you. The goal is to wear you down until you come back or break. This is where many people panic. You want to clear your name. You want to explain. You want to call out the lies. But the Stoics teach something else. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the one thing worth clinging to in life is living truthfully and rightly and being patient with those who do not understand. That is not weakness. That is strength. You do not chase gossip. You do not campaign for your reputation. You stay grounded in your actions. You walk with clarity. And you let your life speak louder than any rumor ever could. The truth is, people who want to believe lies will. And you cannot stop that. But people who truly know your character will see through the fog. Your job is not to convince anyone. Your job is to keep walking your path. Some people will leave. Let them. Some people will judge you. Let them. What you keep is more important. Your self-respect. Your peace. Your ability to look in the mirror without shame. That is worth more than the approval of anyone who could be swayed by whispers. Stoicism gives you this gift. The power to keep your focus when the world tries to pull you into reaction. You are not here to manage how others see you. You are here to live in a way that outlasts their misunderstanding. And if you do that, the lies fall apart on their own. No shouting. No revenge. Just steady truth, lived in silence, revealed over time. The moment you see through a manipulator is not the end of the game, it is the beginning of their next move. But the Stoic response is not to fight harder, explain louder, or react faster. It is to remain still, clear, and untouchable. You do not need to prove anything to those who never wanted the truth. You do not need to silence the rumors, fix their lies, or win back the people who turned away without asking. What you need is peace, and peace does not come from changing the world around you. It comes from owning your response to it. That is what Marcus Aurelius knew. That is what Seneca lived. And that is what you must carry with you now. If someone changes the second they realize you are no longer blind, trust what you saw. Trust your instincts. Trust the weight of your own awareness. You do not need closure from someone who was never honest. You do not need validation from those who chose comfort over clarity. You walk your path. You hold your ground. And you let the mask fall without picking it back up. Because the person who sees through the act and refuses to play the game is the one who wins. Not through revenge, but through self-control. Not through loudness, but through discipline. If this message spoke to something inside you, subscribe to Stoic Legacy as a free way to support this mission and help others find their strength in silence. Share your story in the comments. Let someone out there know they are not crazy. They are just finally awake. The more we rise with wisdom instead of rage, the stronger we become. Stay sharp. Stay calm. Stay unshakable. Stay stoic and build your stoic legacy.